welcome back from that break. Glad you're still watching Science Breakfast with me, Alan Habata, and the silent language interpreter is Gideon Miner. In studio, we are with Adongo Cynthia. She works with Baraza Media Lab. She's in charge of their communications department, and we are recapping what went down during the African Media Festival, which was the third edition. And in this second segment of this conversation, we really want to, and if you missed the first segment, we basically spoke about how it really went down, what stood out for her, and if from an organizational point of view, they were able to meet the objectives of the festival, and that was a resounding yes. She just decided not to brag to say that they surpassed expectations, but as a person who was also on ground, I think that objectives were truly met. But of course, Baraza Media Lab were very big on collecting feedback because everywhere you would walk, you would see a QR code to be scanned for feedback. What are people saying? Because I know the conversations are still ongoing. There are people who are still saying, "Yeah, by the way, this is a late post, but I was at the I was at the media festival, and this is what I think about the festival." What are people saying after the festival has ended?
Yeah, we one of my favorite things, and I think I took this to heart because it's something that I'm really, an advocate about, is just seeing young people in the space.
Yeah.
So we had some sessions that were led by students, and they came back and said, "Oh my God, sometimes they just need that platform, that push."
Yeah, you just push them.
Yeah.
And you watch them.
And then I spoke to people from all over Africa, and it was amazing to see the networks, the connections, the bold ideas that came from that session. So that was one of the positive feedbacks that I really appreciated from both the attendees and the speakers.
Yeah.
We did have a showcase and a photo exhibition from photographers from Kisumu, Mombasa, and Nairobi. And from that, we were able to, expand our community of photographers. We had photographers from Turkana coming in to say that, they've met like-minded people, who are just telling stories through using their lenses. Stories that, would ideally not make it to the creme de la creme of African media.
Yeah.
And that was great to see, even them talking amongst themselves, how they can collaborate. How can I come to Canada so I can share these stories with people in Nairobi. So that was amazing to see.
Interesting. There is of course, we are on Science TV, and this time round, I think diversity was a whole component within the festival.
Yeah.
How was that received? And I do not want to ask why it was important for you to, or for Baraza Media Lab to make sure that component existed, because then I would be sort of questioning why inclusion is important. But how did it play an integral aspect within the main festival itself? Because most of the time you find organizers just adding it as a by the way, but when you look at how the organizing had happened, this was a sort of a whole component within the festival itself. Yeah.
So it was definitely important because I'll give you a personal story. When I was growing up, there was all this things that were shoved down our throats. It's not like we had really much of a choice because most of the things on TV were white movies, white music, so things like that. So starting to see ourselves in the things that we create is truly important. And one of the speakers who was doing special effects makeup, she was talking about how in her team there are even men who do makeup. And some of these things, it's not like it's present. It's just not spoken of. So I believe people seeing that, oh my God, I have this talent, I have this skill, and I'm able to do it on large scale, so that it brings money to my account, so that it makes an impact to people. I think just representation as a whole is still important, and we still have a long way to go, but we are starting, and they definitely will hear voices in our art, in our writing, in our newsrooms. there's that aspect of representation that is continuing to be a larger conversation, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
Comparing this edition and the previous two editions, paint a picture for us. How what is the difference between the current and the former editions?
So the major difference is how this 2025 was designed to have 4 tracks. That, whatever you are at the festival, that if the creative, anything to do with creative economy is going to be at this space. So if I am a creative and I want to monetize my craft, I just need to be in this particular section. If there's anything to do with digital media and AI, you need to talk to these people, or you need to have to attend this session. The difference from the 2024 edition is that we just had this program. We didn't group them in
within tracks. And say that this is how you will find things.
So that was a major difference, and also just highlighting new innovations and inspiring experimentation. So if 2024 was about potential, 2025 I feel was more like impact and inspiration. So it keeps changing, and I know it will definitely continue to change, but it's what in the corporate world people call a living document.
It's alive.
Yes, it's a movement. So it keeps on changing and evolving, and we're embracing it.
And of course, we're not going to sit here and say that it was all merry and putting together close to 1,000 people, 2,000 people moved in and out of the museums of Kenya in those 2 days. What were some of the challenges that you first putting this whole thing together?
I think, the festival came at a time when the political space is quite not volatile per se, but there's every other day there's something coming up. So the biggest challenge here for us was not to be reactive, but instead create a space for deeper understanding and just to really analyze. One of there's a proverb that, or rather, I don't know, it's a saying that says, once bitten, twice shy. So instead of just, reacting immediately to some of this crisis and jumping on the next loudest headline, how about we really unpack the roots of this discussions, like what's really behind, or what's really the structures behind this things that are happening to us. So having just zooming out and seeing the bigger picture was a challenge, but it was a big learning that sometimes we really need to understand beyond the surface level of current happenings.
The answer sounds a little bit coded. I'm like, could we put a little bit of our fingers onto the answer that you're giving? But either way, lessons and takeaways from this year's edition, which are some of those.
There was a lot of encouragement from industry leaders to emerging creatives to just keep their foot on the pedal. It's not, the thing about African creatives is even in the most strenuous situations, we still have a spark that is unique, that is that cannot be imitated by our Western counterparts. So just keep going. Start with what you have. And a good example would be this famous TikToker called Kabilame. He doesn't even talk in his
videos.
He does not say a word. But
you don't even know how he sounds.
No, I have no idea what his voice sounds like. But it's just the expressiveness and just starting with what you have. When he started, he didn't know it was going to be a viral sensation. But he just put his content out there. So do you have maybe your 3K lapel mic, put it in a
3K is better meaning.
But but when you really look at the podcasting world, there are people who have heavy machine learning.
Yeah.
So don't look at you and your
work content.
Yeah. Yeah. The point is create.
I see you trying to be positive. All right.
Yes. The point is create
Yeah.
with whatever you have. And right now, you'll see some of the content you consume online. It's not all of it is like aesthetic based. It's what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're sharing. That's more important. So just start with what you have, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think what you've mentioned is very important, and people are really shifting away from because initially everybody content was consumed based off of how it looked aesthetically.
Yeah.
But right now people are like, as long as you're speaking to me and I am connecting with what you're saying,
Yes.
I will consume the content. Not
Yeah.
necessarily do you have a fancy studio, do you have fancy mics,
No.
how many camera angles do you have here?
Yeah.
And I think this was also some of the limitations that were limiting people who wanted to create because they could not meet these thresholds, so they barred themselves from creating.
Absolutely.
What is the future, or how are you looking at? Because definitely, I know there's going to be a fourth edition. Yeah. you might even have already started planning. But how do you see the African Media Festival evolving?
Yeah.
Do you think that probably Baraza Media Lab will be like, okay, we're going to Dar es Salaam, all right? We are going to Johannesburg.
Yeah.
So that now you start moving the anthem out of Nairobi because you had 3 tracks in Nairobi. Because if it is the African Media Festival, then the next best thing is to take it on the road.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll just maybe a message to our beloved curator. No. As we continue, it's right there in the name African Media Festival. So people are fondly calling it like now the Africa Village. And I think the best, route for us to take right now is a regional approach, just to also give that sense of ownership that we were talking about to the media and creatives in I don't know, West Africa, South Africa, North Africa. So just continue growing, expanding, reaching people in places we never thought we could, and continue fostering this connections and networking opportunities for us and for Africa as a whole. Yeah, so also just being able to see what the people in Nigeria are saying. What the creatives in Nigeria are doing. I think that would be great for us.
Nigeria one and Nigeria version will be very loud.
Yeah, and that would be great.
Full of life.
You're right, and very colorful and vibrant. Yeah.
Interesting. As we're winding up, a message to journalists, donors, organizers, and their collaborators. What would be your parting shot?
Yeah, my parting shot, I think, would just be going back to my point of interconnectedness. Let's continue collaborating. Working in silos is not going to take us anywhere. If we're going to reach to the heights and the levels that we know we can, we know we have the ability, and I want even to say capacity to some extent. I think we're able to achieve great things if we come together. And continue partnering across all this, discipline. Let's say, if I'm a photographer or if I'm a podcaster, how do I work with my sound engineer? How do I work with my producer? How do I tell stories beyond just sitting behind the microphone, right? So yeah, let's keep on collaborating. Let's expand our dreams. Let's make magic. Yeah.
Let's make magic. Become magicians. All right. That's all we've had for you this morning. We have been with Adongo Cynthia. She is the communications lead at Baraza Media Lab, and we were recapping what happened at the Africa Media Festival. She has shared what really stood out for her and some of the lessons learned and what she believes are the next steps or heights for the Africa Media Festival. Being your host, Alan Hubbard, sign language interpreter has been Gideon Miner. Let us see you tomorrow as we usher in the weekend. Good morning.